You enter a dark, deep forest and into the unknown.
Welcome back to the podcast.
Hello.
Rocket Table Talk. We just came from watching Frozen 2, the movie.
For me, the second time. Loved it just as much.
It was okay. I didn't mind it.
It was brilliant.
So if you hear any references from Frozen...
Because it's in my mind and I'm excited. And the topic of conversation today is my favourite. The Druids.
The Druids? Yeah.
The Druids.
Yeah. So this is a class that I've never played before.
That's my favourite.
Even in multiple gaming things, I
You've
don't
never
like.
touched
I
it.
don't fucking like Druids.
Nah, they're hippies.
Yeah. Why would I like that? I
liked them.
As soon as they make a concrete Druid, that's my shit. Like, the spirit of the concrete. Yes, boy.
You're like, yeah, we get rid of nature, replace with concrete trees, concrete animals. Just as long as it doesn't move, you're like, I'm about that, son.
Yeah. I love the concrete. The pristinity. Pristinity, is that a thing?
I'm sure.
Sure.
I don't know.
We'll use it as a word today.
Yep. I like it.
So we got the normal breakdown of stuff that we got going. We've got the shout outs that we got to do towards the end. We've got some character ideas that we've been thinking about, as well as the breakdown of the class itself.
Yeah.
So tell me.
I've got a lot to say about druids. I want to hear your opinion first.
Okay.
What characterizes a druid for you?
Okay. In everything I know about druids, from obviously reading this and doing that sort of stuff,
and me playing every single time.
A druid always, you need a wild shape.
Yep.
You need to be some sort of like tree thing.
Hugging.
Not a hugger, just you got to like the trees.
So
and your backstory has to do with
platonic tree hugger.
Yeah, it's like you enjoy the company of trees, and you have to have a backstory that can relate to why you can shape wild shape into different animals.
Because I think personally, this is one of the few classes, I'm going to include Paladin, that requires a certain backstory to play a certain subrace of druid. You can't just be like, I'm going to be a druid. It doesn't matter what happened to me in the past. Because depending on what subclasses you played in the player's handbook, you've got two main ones. Depending on which one you pick actually determines the spells you can play, determines where you started as a backstory. Yeah. Which is really interesting. I don't think there's too many. Paladin, I would say, because you've got your Oathbreaker and all those kind of stuff.
Yeah. But that's less about like where you come from and more about how you've upheld your life in the past. Can
you think of any others that require the backstory will manipulate how you play the class?
Not really. I think like maybe if we're really breaking down, maybe like a wizard or a sorcerer, maybe
like as a stretch.
As a stretch. But we'll get to that when we start researching that sort of stuff. So we've written down because the paragraph that introduces druids in Player's Handbook.
Do you want to read it out?
Druid is defined by its connection to nature and spirituality connected to it. Oh, that was a good sentence.
That's why it's not from the book. That's me abbreviating, but really bad at
they believe in the connection and balance of nature and revere it above all else. They are known for their spells and wild shape being based around nature and animals.
Yes. So your boy here loves my animals.
You love your animals.
I love my animals. My animals are the best. It's why I love druids, because you get to turn into animals and you get to be them for a number of hours up to equal to your druid level.
But you specifically go as bears.
Always bears.
Always a bear.
The reason behind that is that you can use two attack actions, whereas most other animals choose not to. I like to think that it's because bears are my favorite animal, which they are. Or second to dogs.
Wolves go?
No, wolves are only once.
Don't they bite claw?
They have two attack options, but I think they can only attack once.
So they don't have multi-attack?
I don't think so. Direwolves maybe.
But that's at a high level, right?
If you choose Circle of the Moon, you can start that one instantly, yes.
Yeah. Oh, here we go.
Just one.
Just
you
one.
Can only attack once. Yeah, brown bears have multi-attack.
Yeah.
Black bears have multi-attack.
What happened to your book? Why is it wrinkled at the top? What happened?
What do you mean?
In the middle.
There?
Yeah, did you
really
sweat on it?
stuff on it.
Oh.
For anyone that's out there, it's my sister, who might be listening. You still owe me a new player's handbook.
Yeah. What about lions? Can they multi-attack?
Giant eagle can. Lions can't.
They can't?
No. So let's talk a little bit about that.
So what background, because you said there's a different backgrounds, and that's like
yes,
where you come from, whether that's an ocean, a plain, a forest, blah, blah.
Druids as a whole, I would define them as hippies.
Like a butthole or?
What? Why would I define them as a butthole?
Because you said as a whole.
Oh
and I was asking, do you
God.
mean buttholes?
No. A defining factor of Druids is that they love nature, they love their animals, and because of their connection to nature, they can actually take the form of animals, which is why I love playing them, because Druids are one of the few classes that don't gain the multi-attack feat at all.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So
reading into that, I was like, that's
you were shocked.
So lame.
Yes, but that's why Wild Shape is so strong, because you can, as a certain animal, and then later on as higher challenge rating animals, you can use your multi-attack and so on and so forth, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Another defining feature of the spells for Druids.
Go on.
And this is about where we talk a bit about background and stuff. So as a Druid, there's 2 subclasses, and depending on what you choose at second level, no, it's not. I think it's at 3rd level, but you get Wild Shape at 2nd.
Yes. That's what you're saying, and I'm going on with it.
I was going to say, did you want to look that when those subclasses are?
Yeah.
Everyone, you can get your player's handbook out now and read along with us. We'll determine your spells as well. But
holy shit, opened it straight to Druid.
to Druid circles
because
too.
You've permanently marked this section.
Yeah, it opens it up here.
What am I looking for?
So
Druid
when
circle?
you choose your circles.
Second.
It is seconds.
Yeah.
So at 2nd level, when you get your Wild Shape, you choose your circles. In the player's handbook, you get 2, which is Circle of the Land and Circle of the Moon. Circle of the Land, we're going to start with that one because it's the first.
Oh, so we're going straight away into the breakdown of the classes, right? That we're doing?
We're talking a bit about the backstory. You were asking why the backstory is important, and I'm explaining as to why.
I thought you meant more in the terms of, like, why would you pick the forest as your backstory?
No, I was just talking as to why you'd need to do the backstory.
Okay.
This one's as my brain today with watching Frozen and all of that. It's a bit everywhere, so I apologize. My train of thought is it's loopy today. The reason you choose it is that depending on the spells that you want to choose, you don't have a lot of choice in, because if you choose to be in the forest as your backstory, or you were raised in the Arctic, or you walked the desert as a child, those backgrounds determine the spells that you have in your
repertoire.
I was going to say arsenal, but
Arsenal works.
Yeah. Which is pretty cool. If you were going to play a Druid, though, would there be a certain subclass you would choose as?
The circle that I would pick?
Well, if you chose Circle of Land and you had to choose a background, what would you lean into?
Which is the one that gets the dinosaurs? Desert?
Technically, none of them in Circle of the Land.
No, there's surely
your crit can only, the Wild Shape can only go up to challenge ratings of 1s, and dinosaurs are like 6.
You're making a baby dinosaurs. I can homebrew a dinosaur and make it really small.
Sure.
So which one could I do to be a dinosaur?
I don't know. Maybe a forest?
Forest
or grassland?
Why the hell would there be dinosaurs in the forest? What forest have you
what?
been to that have had dinosaurs?
What ones have you been in? Obviously, you found a really good forest or grassland. Wouldn't be the Arctic.
I'd imagine they'd be in the desert.
No. What are they? What's there to eat?
Desert things.
Like
snakes? Cacti?
Snakes.
Water?
In a forest, at least there's no water in the desert. That's why it's a desert.
That's why you drink the cactus.
Oh my God, and you hallucinate and you die.
Okay, if I had to do it, I would pick the one that lets me be dinosaurs. If that answers your question. Well, okay, I wouldn't pick a Druid anyway because I like having fun and not playing a boring class.
There are a lot of really cool Druids out there in pop culture, thank you very much, that seem to also have a lot of fun.
Yeah,
but you want to care.
But when you're playing it, it's not a fun thing for me.
Absolutely is.
I can't be a tank if I'm not a dinosaur.
You can be a tank by being a bear.
What about turtles? What if I want to be a turtle?
You can be a normal turtle.
Yeah, but what would I have to pick to be a turtle? Coastal or ocean?
Coastal.
Then that's my answer.
And coastal could have dinosaurs too.
There you go. I'm going to be a coastal Druid of the Land Druid. So I could be
Circle of the Moon?
You gave me the option of Circle of the Land. You don't have to worry about... Oh my God.
All right. Well.
Anyways, just some other things real quickly is that Druids can't wear metal and use metal weapons.
They can't because, again, they are hippies and metal means destroying nature and all that sad stuff.
But it's
so
not. Metal's an element of nature.
it's not.
How so?
Where do you see metal growing?
In rocks.
Metal isn't just growing in rocks.
And guess what? Rocks are nature.
Rocks are nature.
Are you saying rocks are rocks?
Yes.
You're making fun of my people.
I was,
Rock farmers. That's
Oh
my backstory.
God,
I'm a coastal rock farmer who
backstory.
turns into a turtle.
No, so that it's a feature with druids that's really interesting, because when you choose your class and you're going through your proficiencies and like what things things you can use, normally it'll say just simple weapons or martial weapons or heavy armor. Like as a paladin, what's your proficiencies in?
Everything.
It's not everything.
It's like you want to do it, you're proficient in it.
No. Are you proficient in simple weapons?
Yep.
Really?
Yep. Martial weapons? Yep.
Martial weapons,
Shields?
yes.
Yep. Heavy armor? Yep.
Yeah. There you
Light
go.
armor? Yep. Medium armor? Yep.
Are you proficient in light armor?
Every armor.
Really?
They're proficient
Are
in
you
everything.
100%?
Nope.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Look it up.
I'll look it up. We'll look it up later. We'll look it up when we're doing the paladin episode. Stop changing the subject. Today is
Fine.
druids.
Druids, on the other hand, they had to list everything that they're proficient in, because it had to go through and choose things that aren't heavy metal based.
So like clubs,
weapons and stuff. So clubs.
daggers,
Yep. Darts, javelins, maces, quarterstaffs.
scimitars.
Yep.
Scimitar's.
Scimitar's.
Sickles. Oh yeah, there's a second line of that sentence.
Slings, spears, which is pretty cool.
I just think that's so interesting. Like is that the only class in Dungeons and Dragons that stops you from using metal or like an element of to make something?
I think so,
Yeah.
because you got your barbarian, paladin, fighters, and
Use
rogues
everything.
don't.
Yep.
They can use anything. Wizards, warlocks, and
There's no
sorcerers are proficient
limitations.
in weapons, but very limited weapons. But it's not a
Like you can't use not wood.
not wood.
Yeah,
Yes,
stuff
and
like that.
what else you got? Monks are proficient in just simple weapons and
Monk
martial.
weapons, yeah.
Yep, monk weapons. But they can be metal if they wanted to be, because you got like nunchucks and all that fun stuff.
So would that just lead more into the role playing of it? Like, would you just have to, like, say, let's say you wanted to use a sword. Would you just say, I'm going to use a sword that's made of wood, and then
No.
that's your work around it?
So I think most of the weapons that you can go through, so yeah, clubs, maces, quarterstaffs, most of those are bludgeoning dealing weapons. You've got a few piercing, so you've got like dagger, darts, javelins, spears, and then scimitars,
Would be
sickles are slashing damage.
Yeah.
So it's a real array of weapon damaging, but because it all has to be not completely metal, it's very limited, which is really interesting. So yes, you have to play heavily into the role playing as well. Or your armor has to be natural occurring, so leather.
Aren't scimitars made of metal?
Yeah, but I think it's like scimitars are curved, so I think the idea is like it's like
They're not holding the metal part?
you would find farmers wielding those sort of things.
Okay.
So that's the only logic I can find from it, other than they were like, we need to give him something that's not shit.
Also,
let's give him scimitars.
When you think darts, do you think like a blow dart, or do you think like
Yeah,
a dart
I
at
think
a pub?
blow dart.
Okay.
Only for druids.
Okay.
When we had that session where we tried to knock a king's helmet,
His crown?
off.
Yep.
Uh,
That one was definitely a dart.
it was just a normal dart, like a
Yeah.
throwing dart. Whereas the rest of them, I think, is like blow darts.
Okay.
What about you?
Okay, well, I didn't think about it until just now.
Hmm.
I've always assumed, because when we've played it, or anyone in our parties have played it, we always just assume that dart means like at a pub you play darts.
Yeah.
It's never a blow dart.
Yeah.
And then that just made me like,
Can you imagine being like, all right, I'm going to blow it. Dies.
I think I would do that as a mechanic of like, not just like to hit roll, but it's like a to damage roll of whether or not you blow or suck.
Yeah.
Like you just forget which
If it's
one
in
to
that
do.
one, you accidentally breathe it in.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting. And then wild shape, which we will talk a bit further down as well. Wild shape is a very
We already did talk
defining,
about it.
yeah, it's a defining factor of druids. Druids are fun because you can turn into animals.
Yeah. Is that if this was like your essay to pass year 12 and it was about druids, it would just say the final sentence is druids are fun because you can turn into animals.
Yeah.
The end.
Yeah.
A plus.
Air plus plus.
98 out of 100.
Yeah. I'd wait for
The comment just says, please don't mark yourself.
6 out of 10.
6 out of 10. Out of 10. I did
Out
out
of
of
10.
100.
All right, out of 100. We're Druids. We're not very smart. You need to give us like less questions.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we got with some community feedback as well. We got some examples of Druids in pop culture
Can we say there's not a lot of female Druids in pop culture?
that we can think of. They're
Three
probably
that-
out there.
3 we could think of. So any of our listeners, if you can think of any other female Druids other than the ones we're about to name, please let us know.
Well, let's do the females first because that's a
Okay.
smaller list. So first one,
Is
Elsa.
it question mark? Elsa, yes. After watching Frozen 2,
No spoilers.
would
Spoiler
you
alert.
think...
No. Spoiler alert. Now wait for everyone to stop listening.
No, please don't stop listening.
Okay,
I
now
have a
you
lot
can
to say about Frozen 2.
now you can talk about Frozen 2.
Would you think she's a Druid?
From this one, yes.
Yeah?
Because she gets her power from the elements, which
Yep.
is a defining factor.
Yep.
She can't turn into an animal, but she again
Influences.
and she loves her
and-
nature in the second one.
Yes.
Like she's very nature focused for it.
Mhm. Would
She-
you think that in the first one as well?
No.
Less,
just a
it's more
whiny-
about finding
she's a
yourself.
whiny bitch in the first one.
Hey,
Just because she likes her
she
ice
is
shit.
not. Elsa's great. Originally, she was going to be the bad guy, but there you go.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's based on the old fable tale. That's why it's a bit of a throwback is when the dad's reading the book and he's like, oh, some Danish author. Yeah. Anyway.
What fable are you talking about?
The Ice Queen. It's actually based off a
Snow
Danish.
White?
No.
Oh.
There's the story that Frozen is based loosely off is a Danish folklore.
Someone wrote Frozen before Frozen came out. That
All
is
the
ridiculous.
Disney films are based on old Grimm's tales.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Suck
Not
an egg.
Star Wars.
I had this argument before. I'm not going to have this again.
So
Star
Jedis.
Wars is not Disney. All right.
So
Next
do,
one.
do you agree with Elsa as being a druid?
Yes, 100%.
From what I
100%.
said, or
From the first one and more in the second one.
Yeah.
But yeah, the connection to nature and her trying to protect it and all those fun things, 100%.
okay. The next one we've got here is Princess Mononoke
So
from Studio Ghibli.
yes.
I've never watched
Judge me all
this.
you want. Yeah, I've never seen a Studio Ghibli film though.
We shouldn't have put this on there because we don't know how to classify this.
I know that she has a pet wolfie boy,
Yeah.
and there's violence in there, and I need to get into that. Yeah, I need to stop speaking so close to the mic.
Yeah. So that's all we know, and then she kills people.
Yeah.
Oh, and then the other one I was thinking of would
Protects
be
the nature.
Pocahontas.
Oh, that's right. We didn't write that
Yeah,
down.
Pocahontas.
Pocahontas, I think, is 100% maybe just a level 1 because she hasn't turned wild shape, or maybe she just doesn't need.
She
to
talks
use it.
to a fucking tree.
Yeah.
She's the definition of a druid.
Yeah, she a druid, and the whole like trying to kick the white boys out
Colours
so
of the
she
wind.
can. Yep, so she can protect nature
Yep.
and keep it going. And she sends John off, and she's like, "Bye, bitch, get out of my lands." Yep, 100%. She is a druid. Maybe a low level one, or maybe she's so strong that she doesn't need
To
like
wild
wild
shape.
shape. She just uses her words and her singing
Yeah.
with all the wind in her hair, and it's all as she magically dives from that cliff and doesn't die.
I haven't seen that movie in.
I think you're going to say you haven't
17
seen it, and I
years,
was like,
so-
I'm going to judge you so hard for this, but no, that makes sense.
And then the DC villain, who is now not a villain.
I'd still put it like it's the same as Catwoman, I'd put it right in the middle.
So Poison Ivy.
Yes.
Yes.
Poison Ivy, I would think is a druid, especially for the spells, because it's all about
Trees and shit.
trees and leaves and thorns and strangulation and all that fun stuff. It's 100%. I reckon I could even, if I tried hard enough, I could try to find a spell that would define what Poison Ivy's.
Entangling
Stuff
Roots.
is. Yes. There you go. You got one.
Like that's probably the main one that she uses because she always uses that
Mm-hmm.
in every fight. But like a counter argument to that is because druids get their power from the elements and
Mm-hmm.
from the nature and stuff. She didn't get her powers from nature like as a living being. She got infused with elements of nature and now she loves them. So
Mm-hmm. Yes.
would that still count as being a
I
druid?
think so. I think if you were to bring her into the DC universe, into the D&D.
She is from the DC universe.
into the D&D universe, she would. Her backstory, I think, would change slightly.
Yeah.
I think that she was like forced out into the wild and grew around nature and was so secluded like a hermit.
Yeah.
That the powers infused with her and then became a druid. If you were to try
See,
to
like another
change her
way
backstory.
that I reckon you could do it as well is like with Ravnica and they have the guilds.
Mm-hmm.
You know how there's that one guild that manipulates themselves with like the crab claws and
Yes,
stuff. You could do
yes.
it. Poison Ivy is from that guild.
100%.
To be
It'd
that.
be really interesting. Can you imagine how pretty that would look?
That would look
as well?
sick. That would
Yeah,
look so
it'd
cool.
really cool.
I don't know-
Any artists out there, can you make that for us?
I don't
That'd
know
be
if
sick.
there is if there's a limitation because we haven't actually read
too
Guilds
much
of
on
Ravnica,
Guilds of Ravnica. We should read more into it because it's a really cool.
It looks interesting.
It's really interesting.
But anywhere that we looked up on Google and everywhere, the only anything for Druid was Poison Ivy.
100%.
Like the Geek and Sundry website, which
Poison Ivy.
Like those websites are so misleading because it's like list of some fucking references
and
it's like 2 of them. And I'm like,
every
okay,
single time.
go fuck yourself.
Not what we want.
We think of more lists than
Geek
you
and
do.
Sundry. You can sponsor us. We'll take anything, please. We'll only talk good about you.
No, I'm not promising that. Maui from
Moana.
That's the
now,
one.
you had a problem with this because you think because he's a demigod,
Yes.
it wouldn't count.
Yes.
Okay,
when he turns into animals,
yes,
he has the confidence when he has his hook, right?
yes,
But he can do it without the hook.
no,
He needs the hook.
yes.
Well, there you go.
But you need a druidic focus.
To turn into a wild shape.
It doesn't say about your magic and stuff comes from your druidic focus,
Okay.
which
is normally a branch or a...
it could be
a
a
berry.
weapon or it could be like a crystal if you want to make it real hippie. I know when I played Mittens, it was a ball of yarn that was passed down from generations.
Yes.
Like your druidic focus isn't actually... There is a list of things right at the back of the player's handbook. What you
can make it whatever you want. Yeah.
It's like in the cleric one.
Yeah.
But yeah, it could be whatever you want. And for his, it would be his hook.
Okay.
His druidic
But he doesn't
focus.
get the powers from nature. He's just a demigod. He just has
Yeah,
god
but did you
powers.
listen to his song? He did
No.
all these things
I've
with
never
nature.
watched that
It's so
movie.
good.
Jazmin,
Moana is great.
I'm an adult.
I am Moana.
Yeah, you be whatever the fuck you want to be.
Moana is Maui. Yes, he is a demigod,
Give me
but
another-
I think he is a god. Like his powers are druidic.
Well, who's his parents? Like, what's his...
He doesn't.
Doesn't talk about it.
Oh,
Then how is he a demigod?
his mum was. It does talk about it. I'm gonna get this wrong, but his mum abandoned him, and he sought basically the attention of humans.
Okay.
So he would do naturey things to try to win their hearts and stuff. So he killed an eel and buried its guts, straddled a tree with coconuts is one of the verses. He pulled the sun down to create and create wind and all that. So his song about who he is, most of the things that he has done are nature based.
Yeah, but...
Creating wind, pulling down the sun to keep them warm, creating waves with the moon.
But those are just shitty stories. Like, I could make up a...
No, but there were things he actually did though.
But the sun rises and sets
Yeah, and
anyway.
it was Maui that did it.
No.
Yes.
See, that's some bullshit that I
You
don't
need to
believe.
listen to it because it's great and it's Dwayne The Rock Johnson. And he'd beat
don't
the
care.
shit out of you if you said that he wasn't a druid.
Hey, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, if you listen to 2 random Aussies podcasts about Dungeons and Dragons, Maui isn't a druid.
You're fucking wrong.
Maui would be some sort of shapeshifter who has demigod powers. So it would be an Azamir of some type.
You're rude.
Um,
Next one.
Groot
Yeah, I think so.
from Marvel.
Yep.
Why? He doesn't get powers from nature. He is nature.
He is nature.
Yep. He doesn't
But
shapeshift.
he's so. I mean, he did regrow as a small baby Groot and now a teenager.
Yeah, we just... so he grew up and then died and then grew up
Yeah,
again. Spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen any movies from the last decade.
Druids are defined by its connection to nature.
But he is nature. It's not a
Yes,
connection.
but it's a connection to nature.
Is he a person that turned into a tree like, oh, Swamp Thing?
Yes.
Which we
Similar.
got here.
It's further down.
Anyway,
yeah.
well, he is a druid in that.
Swamp Thing is 100%.
We're going back to Groot though.
Yes, but I think Groot, if you were to bring him into the Marvel universe and you were to
He is the
put
Marvel
him-
universe.
put him into the D&D universe, if you had to give him a class,
Yep.
what other class would you put him
Barbarian. Because he get
in? Are
angry.
you kidding me?
He gets angry.
No,
and then he grew
no,
the
he
big
doesn't.
branches out of him and then he made a ball, a protective
Only
ball.
because he had to. Just like druids.
What do
He
they have
doesn't
to do?
Pardon?
What do they do?
Druids?
Yeah.
Grow trees and shit. And like wild shape. And smack people around with their cool powers.
And this is what it's
No,
like
get
playing
fucked.
you
No,
with
get
the
fucked.
druid.
They're fucking good. I could beat you as your paladin if we were both level 20 and I'd fuck your shit up.
So
I'd even take you at level 2 because at least I get wild shape.
anyone who's interested, we do plan on doing a class v class where we
Yes.
do like a weird scenario and we
We make
podcast it about.
we make two characters, we break them, and then we see who can destroy each other first.
Yes. So I think our first matchup is going to be Druid versus Paladin. That'll be coming down some way down the line.
We'll see how it goes. Let us
yeah.
know what levels you'd want us to start at because I'd be really interested to see how that one goes.
But I'm saying no to Groot. So out of the 2 males that we've talked about, I've said no to Maui,
You're wrong.
no to Groot.
But
All right.
all the females you'd put as yes.
Well, yes, I would.
Yeah, okay. Cool. Interesting. Next one, close to home for you, Radagast the Brown from Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
But even though he's technically a wizard.
Yes.
A wizard.
Yeah. But if you had to move him into the Lord of the Rings universe...
You wouldn't keep him as a wizard?
No, I wouldn't keep him as a wizard.
You wouldn't keep him...
I'd keep him
like,
as a
wouldn't
druid.
you do cleric with the nature domain? Oh, got you fucking there, bitch. Got you fucking there.
Oh,
fucking
no,
go on.
I
Go on.
wouldn't.
Tell me how much of a druid he is. I think he's a druid, but I want to hear you justify it. Are you going to say no?
He's just a nature boy.
Yeah.
He likes
Clerics
his
can be
moths,
nature boys.
He likes his birds. He likes his bunnies.
And he like has to like...
What are they called?
He sucks it
These
out.
are Worcestershire bunnies. And then they like...
Were rabbits?
Not fucking were-rabbits.
No, what does he call her?
I think there's something. I haven't
Go
read
on.
that book in ages. Worcestershire bunnies or
watched the
something.
movies,
I'm going
like-
to quickly Google this. You just talk
All
about
right.
Radagast the Brown.
Radagast is 100% a druid because one of the backgrounds that if you were to do a quick build of a druid asks you tells you to choose the hermit or outlander as your background. And Radagast is a hermit because he chooses to seclude himself from society so he can give back to nature and all that.
Roscobble rabbits.
That's it.
These are Roscobble rabbits. And then they'll fucking go.
Well, they were faster than what were they fighting?
The wargs.
Yeah, that's it. Oh,
Not the
faster-
wogs. Not my
faster
people.
than wargs.
We would have concreted that shit
My
beforehand.
rabbit could fuck your wargs up. My little boy could fuck your shit up because he is nasty.
Okay, so we agree that Radagast, only because he is a nature boy.
He's a
that-
nature boy, not a cleric.
And his druidic focus, which is his staff,
Yes.
is
Yeah.
more of the branch than the rest of like the wizards in the circles of that.
Because you wouldn't put any of the other.
Gandalf the Grey would be the only one that I would think of, but he's a
That's the druid.
no, like he would be the only one that I'm saying that I might consider as the closest to him.
Right.
Purely because like when he is learning and he gets like his ring, which is like a fire ring, not that he controls fire, but it's like a fire ring. It's getting towards the element side. Like he's elements and then he dies and he comes back
and
to be a
balance
light
and
person.
all
So
that. Yep. Makes sense.
he's still a wizard, but I think that's the closer. If you're really pulling at strings, that would be the only one that I would say. Radagast the Brown and maybe Gandalf the Grey.
Yeah. At a stretch.
At a stretch.
Yeah. So the next one we're unfamiliar with. Shout out to our friend Justin for recommending this one. Dr. Druid. Marvel character,
Yep.
alone in the name. I think he is a druid. It's right. It's right there.
I think he's also a doctor.
Maybe
He could be.
It's about. So we're not going to lie to you guys. We don't know. I'm basing this off the information that Justin gave us. The bit of the backstory is that it's two people combined into one, like a female and a male, chasing. I don't know. You talk a bit about the Lorax and why you think he would be a.
So the Lorax. This was given to us by some of our Twitter community.
I think this one's the best one.
_Francis. Love you long time.
Yes.
But that is probably the greatest and most underrated druid of all literature ever.
Yes.
He is the protector of the forest. And he gets super huffy and puffy when they cut down his trees.
Yep. And he warns them.
But in saying that, he's only a druid because he loves nature. Like he doesn't have any
So
spells.
could he be a cleric of the nature domain? Could he just be a wizard?
Stop trying to make him cleric.
That's my rebuttal though.
There's a plastic bag flying out the window and it looks really cute.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I'm
A
just saying
druid
that.
wouldn't like that.
I'm just saying. Oh, I love that though. It's all manufactured. It's
Oh
not
my
natural.
god. Stop.
I just think the Lorax is a great idea.
I think it's a brilliant
You
one.
could definitely expand on it more and then have him coming from your background as being from the forest. Like if you had
like
to
a
pick
hermit.
it. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, they're all hermits. Like everyone on this list so far has been like hermity.
Well, here we go. Bit of a backstory for the Dr. Druid.
Do the Dr. Druid.
He and another character are intertwined throughout all their incarnations through history. And in this life, they are both alternatively male and female. So Druid being the reincarnation of the female. And having what was essentially a transgender couple was pretty brave for Marvel. And we've got a photo of him. We might put it up on our video if we can figure out how to do that. But it's real interesting.
But like Wildstorm is a male and a female and he's from DC. Like that's...
Who is this?
It's like another mixed person.
Who?
Wildstorm. It's like the guy that has the fire hair and he like shoots atoms and stuff.
Yeah.
Like that's nothing special, I just think. But it's good to know, but still, it's not anything.
Next up is Getafix.
No idea who that is.
Jetafix?
Yeah.
Getafix?
Vegeta Fix.
From the...
Keep talking. I just need to touch the
what's
camera.
it called? Asterix. he was literally called, like, he is a druid. That's his job, is a druid. It's a classic. I'll pull up the Asterix comics. You'll recognize it.
This is Asterix, is in like Asterix and Obelix, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There's a guy called
they're Vikings, right?
Getafix, who is his job is druid.
Yeah,
like, it's his title.
So then when you just say that, because they're Vikings, so then when you just say that the Viking community have druids, and that makes sense.
Maybe,
like,
but
less about Getafix, the character himself, and just saying that Vikings in like myths and legends.
So you're saying their healers would be druids?
Yeah, sure.
But
I guess they wouldn't have priests. They don't have like.
Yes, they do.
They don't have normal churches. They have
but they have priests. 100%. Think the show The Vikings, when they went all the way up to that hill and there was people in the weird pains and they sacrificed
druids.
a bunch of people. I wouldn't call them
like
druids.
Pagan druids.
100% they are not druids.
If we googled it right now between a pagan druid and a pagan priest.
Oh, but I guess it is about balance and like
Yep.
Yeah.
And then they have the
bad
mushrooms
druids.
and they have drugs and they have sex and they're all kinky. That's
So you're
a
saying
druid.
druids are kinky sex maniac? I'm okay with that.
And then
I accept that.
it's less about what the gods say and more about how the gods interact with the nature. So
It is, because druids have gods, but they're not as important to their magic as clerics and warlocks and stuff. So
that's my argument for like, so Getafix, if you're saying is a druid, I'm just going to say that we can just say that any historical Viking priestess or priest,
you could argue that
is
they're
druid.
druids. Yeah. Because there's a section in here are devoted to one of the many nature deities worshipped in the multiverse.
Yeah.
The worship of these deities is often considered more ancient tradition than the faiths of clerics and urbanized peoples. In fact, in the world of Greyhawk, the Druidic faith is called the Old Faith, and it claims many adherents among farmers, forest fishers, and others who live closely with nature. This tradition includes the worship of nature as a primal force beyond personification, but also encompasses the world of, I'm going to not name a bunch of them. In saying that, with the Old Faith, in Game of Thrones, they talk a bit about the old gods and the new. Would you...
Well, they have the Dryads, which aren't druids. It's those spirits.
Yeah.
And they all die. Spoiler alert from season 6, I think it was.
Wait, what are we talking about now?
You know how the frozen walkers and then the three-eyed raven kid?
Yeah.
And then he has those
the children of the forest.
They're Dryads. And they all die.
The ones left, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're all dead.
In the books, they don't, though.
No one cares for the book.
Books are good.
Did you read them?
I read the first
chapter?
6 chapters.
Yeah. And then this is one that's close to home to me because as a World of Warcraft fan.
We've also skipped one, but yes, keep going.
We did not skip one.
Yes, we did.
Oh, Bjorn.
Yep.
From Hobbit.
We'll get back to that
He
later.
shapeshifts, and that's why he's a druid.
But I would not count him as a druid.
No, he just shapeshifts.
Yeah.
He's a shapeshifter.
So,
yeah.
Expanding on that, because he's a werebear,
Yep.
his race would be that he had an unfortunate accident and can shapeshift, but he is not in control of it. When he's in that wild shape form, it's not him
I'd say
anymore.
it's more like a barbarian that has like a bear totem or a bear spirit.
I would say that he is a barbarian as a class with the background that he can shapeshift into a bear, because when he's in there, he's in like he is in a rage.
Yeah.
Because this is really, a lot of people said that he is a druid, but he doesn't really care too much about nature. He just kind of wants to be left alone, which is something that is defined as a druid, but he carries an axe and all that kind of stuff, and that's not a druid weapon.
And he doesn't wear metal though, which like I guess is a counter argument to that. But yeah, you're right. He's more just like a hermit background.
Barbarian.
I'm saying he's a barbarian.
I would
with
classify
like a
him
bear spirit. As
100%.
like a spirit warrior would be.
And then he's got an accident and he's now a werebear.
Werebear.
But I wouldn't put him as a druid because he is not as in control of his shape shifting as a druid is.
Yeah.
Because it's a choice. And when in there, you're in complete control of your mind and that kind of stuff as well, which is interesting. But going back to World of Warcraft.
Yes, there's two. So if anyone's ever played World of Warcraft or anything similar to it, you can play as a class of the druid. And all my prior knowledge to playing Dungeons and Dragons was from that. So I got some in my eye. And
I heard that.
Yeah, it was clickety clackety. And then everything in the whole universe is all about druids are in the balance. So it's like whether that's the sun and the moon or the elements, they're always having something to do with like keeping the balance of things. It's actually a point that we forgot to mention was that druids try to keep the equilibrium of the 4 elements. So that's an interesting point to have. But 2 primary ones that one is very well known as a druid, and the second one not so much unless you've read like Legends comics of World of Warcraft.
Which you have.
Yeah, I've like multiple times.
You love them. It's World of Warcraft knowledge and like history. You're like
all me. So Brawl Baremantle was a druid. Lost his. So
is this in the comics?
In the comics,
Yep.
yeah.
Of World of Warcraft.
Of World of Warcraft, because like in druids they like train.
And he's a druid.
To have their animal spirits channel through their bodies, and then he got in a rage after a certain fight, and every single one of his animal spirits left him except for the bear, because the bear is a very violent, aggressive spirit. And then the whole thing of him was to get back into balance, to get his old animal spirits back.
Did he ever get his back?
He does towards the end, and he gets like his eagle and then his panther. No, he doesn't die. I'm pretty sure he's still in the game, but don't know where he is top of my head. But yeah, his whole thing is
Are
like.
you even
a
World of Warcraft fan? If you don't even know where he is.
Stop interrupting me. And then of course Malfurion Stormrage, who is like one of the most prominent ones. You've probably seen him on like promotional banners and stuff.
You thought of that. Shout out to our friend Zach, who also named him. You named him immediately, but we also have another friend named Zach who suggested Malfurion Stormrage. Did I say it right?
Malfurion Stormrage, yes.
Yes. Very good. Continue.
I don't know who Zach is.
Well, I do. And he deserves a little bit of a shout out.
Okay, you're saying our friend is like, I don't know Zach.
You're like,
Your friends and my friends are different friends.
Yeah.
Anyway, Malfurion Stormrage.
Yes.
Just controls all the elements. He's like the high mage or the high druid of everything. There's also like Centaurian, who is like a centaur druid guy.
Kentaur the Centaur?
Kind of like Kentaur the Centaur. Less about the movement and more about the other stuff.
Yep.
I could keep going more about druids.
You do love them in World of Warcraft.
I do. I don't play them because they're not bruises and that sort of shit. Yeah.
I played Druid. Shaped into, what was it, a wolf?
You would have done a bear because that's the first one that you get.
Then I did a bear.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I really need to play it again. But after Christmas.
After Christmas.
Another one that was suggested by our friend Americo. E.T. Really.
As in the extraterrestrial Steven Spielberg movie?
It is, because his connection to nature itself and Elliot, that strong connection.
Is that Drew Barrymore?
No.
Oh.
Drew Barrymore is Drew Barrymore. No, I don't know what her kid's name is.
Okay.
Elliot's the boy.
Okay.
So yeah, his connection to it is what gives him, I wouldn't say powers, because E.T. gives me the heebie-jeebies. My sister was terrified of him and we could never watch it as a kid, just because she'd get scared anytime his neck went really long. You know, he's like, he like Drew Barrymore screams. My sister would scream in harmony with her because she was just like, nah, none of this.
Yeah.
So I haven't seen that film in a long time, but I think E.T., I mean, he's an alien, so it's a bit hard to assume that he's not just born with those powers.
I think your point saying that he gets his from the connection he has with Elliot, I think that's a really interesting.
Nature.
That's like super interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know it well enough to counter argue that. Which I know is like part of our podcast is like finding a person and then arguing to and for it.
But E.T. is an interesting one because I wouldn't have never thought of that one. But it's an interesting.
It's because you've never seen it like in the last 20 years.
Okay, I was going to be like, I did.
It's not something that you watch on the regular, so it's not something that you know top of your head.
Yep.
That's what we find with a lot of these things. It's all Disney characters because you watch a lot of Disney stuff.
Yeah. And then anything that's not Disney, I'm like, I don't know.
It's like, I call it this character.
Yep.
Dr. Dolittle.
Again, a friend. Mariko recommended that one. Yeah, because he can speak to animals, which is a thing that you can do. Sorry, it's a spell that you can cast, speak with animals, but you have a proficiency in it as well.
Animal
it's a
handling
wisdom modifier as well.
So
when you roll, you had your proficiency bonus to it and all that kind of stuff. So I actually did it in our game on the weekend. My friend got a familiar, and it was a crow. And so I talked to the crow for a bit and find out where he liked the scratches, and a bit of history of where the crow has been and what it's seen, which is really cool. So I actually got to speak with animals in the game, which I've never done before because we've never really come across.
But isn't a familiar summoned from the Feywilds?
Because it connected with her, like had a spiritual connection with her, it became the familiar.
Yeah.
So it just follows her around and stuff, which was cute. But I got to speak to it, which was fun.
You have a bear of your own. Why don't you talk to that?
Pardon?
You have a bear.
I do talk to my bear.
And what's your bear's name?
Watek.
Oh, of course it is.
Well, yeah, it's my favorite game ever.
Yeah.
I love it so much.
For anyone out there, that's Scythe, the board game.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I love it so much.
Going back to DC friend of ours, Swamp Thing. 100% Druid.
Born and raised to become a druid. If he was brought in there, he hates people who disturb his swamp.
Yep.
He does everything he can to protect it. He can grow vines. He is one with the with the earth.
You know he's a person, right?
Yes.
Who died in the swamp and then
Yes.
came back as Swamp Thing.
Yes, because didn't the swamp spirits choose to bring him back?
Yes.
Yes. So that's
the
connection there
connection
with
to
it.
nature.
Yes.
Yeah,
So he's
100%.
100% a druid. I mean, you could try to argue that it's a race, but I think
No, because it's like he was a human and then he died and then he came back as Swamp Thing.
do you know what subclass he would be? Circle of the Dreams.
Really?
Because the connection to the Fey land.
Okay.
It's Fey world.
I was going to say spores because he's made out of swamp things,
Yes.
which is like our new favorite one after reading about
it's
it.
really no, my new favorite one's the Circle of the Wildfire.
Yeah. In
So we'll get to that
Arcana,
later.
Yeah. This is a good one. So we're gonna be very specific with this. Avatar from The Last Airbender,
Yes.
but specifically the
Aang.
Avatar,
Aang himself.
Aang himself.
Yes.
Even though he started off being an airbender, and
Yeah.
so he would be a monk because monks
Yep.
are airbenders. Once he gets control of all four of the elements,
He's a druid.
he is a druid.
Yes. So what we're trying to say is that each of the benders in Avatar would have their own subclass, essentially, because they talk about how airbenders are monks.
Yep.
They are monks. They shave their head. They become vegetarians. They do all that stuff. They're 100% monks. There's probably airbenders out there that aren't monks, but
From what we know from the TV show,
they were 100% monks. I would put waterbenders as druids as well because it's all about peace and harmony, and they don't have any metal as well. They don't use weapons like Sokka, for example, uses a boomerang. Like he doesn't.
Made of metal,
he doesn't.
though.
He eventually gets a sword, but that's a different story.
Yeah.
Whereas earthbenders and firebenders have metal armor, and they use swords and they use spears and all that big stuff that I would put them in a different class altogether. But the Avatar is 100% a druid.
The Avatar Aang from The Last
Yes.
Airbender.
Maybe Korra, but it's all about peace and harmony and control and
having that the
life and death is important and balance.
That's the word I was looking for.
All those words,
Yeah.
100%, which is really interesting.
Yeah.
Then the two obvious ones that we had as well.
This is like another one of Geek and Sundry or any other website where you Google like Druid inspiration. These two always come up.
Beast Boy
Yep.
from DC Universe again. Love him. 100% a druid. because he
Don't
has
count
wild
as a
shape.
druid.
He is
Just
a druid.
because he wild shapes doesn't mean
Yes,
he's a druid.
no, it doesn't mean necessarily he's a druid. But if you were to put him in any other class, though, where would you fit him?
Shapeshifter, and then put him as a fucking cleric. I don't know
No, because he's a druid.
why.
Because
Because
the
he's
wild
veggie.
shape, but because he also respects nature and all that kind of
He
stuff.
eats
And
chips on the daily.
he's
How's
a
that respecting-
vegetarian.
Yeah, but it's the plastic
Boom.
of the
Where's the plastic in the chips?
holding the chips together in a little container is plastic.
It's a paper bag.
Who the fuck eats chips out of a paper bag?
When you go to the servo and you get the fish and chip shop, they
Yeah,
put
yeah.
it in a paper bag.
Not potato chippies.
Yeah, potato chippies.
Like Smith's
No,
or
gross.
Lays.
Oh,
That's what he eats.
Yeah,
He
those
doesn't
sort
eat
of chips,
fucking
not
fish
hot
and chips. Jesus.
Rude.
I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I'm thinking hot chips. That's another Australian thing.
Yeah.
For those Americans that listen to us, which is actually half our audience, which is really cool. We put everything that is potato related as chips. You've got potato crisps, French fries. Then there's a third one.
Scallops.
They're all chips. Chips. Hot chips,
everything is
potato
chips.
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 Just chips.
I wouldn't count it because A, he doesn't get his power from nature.
Well, no, not technically.
Yeah, he gets his power from having the alien blood in him. And
That's only in Teen Titans. Sorry.
What's his normal
Young
background
Justice. He's born with it.
then? He's not born with it.
I think he
He
is.
was born green. I don't believe you.
Yeah,
No.
I think it is.
Let's Google it afterwards.
Yeah.
I'm going off that. Second thing, he just wild shapes. That's all he does.
That's all I do as a druid.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
heal.
Third thing, he is a vegetarian. Fair enough.
He doesn't wear armor.
Yeah, because he's a fucking elephant half the time.
Exactly.
Like,
Boom, druid.
no,
He doesn't have any weapons.
he is the weapon.
Yeah, exactly. That's what a druid is.
No,
Yes.
it's not.
Yes.
All I'm saying
It
is
can be a long one.
no. I'm just saying that you do close the microphone like always. I'm just saying he's not a druid in every aspect.
Agree to disagree.
Okay, well you're wrong. So
Well, maybe he's just multi-classing as a druid.
into what? So he
I'd say a
multi-class as a
fighter
druid to
and a
level 2?
druid.
Okay.
Yep, he'd do 2 levels in druid just to get the.
Wild
No,
shape.
he'd have to go high. No, yes, level 2 in druid and choose circle of the moon just so he can get that crit rating higher.
Sure.
Because you can't do it like a big animals straight away
And then Captain Planet.
because of the nature and
He is
connecting.
an amalgamation of the elements. That's his whole thing.
And bringing balance and peace.
He fights pollution
Yep.
and
Which-
the baddies like
Yep.
DP.
Yep. They really need to put it back
Trump.
on TV. He would absolutely fight Trump.
Yeah.
So yeah, really interesting. We got a lot of male ones, not a lot of females. So again, listeners out there, if you have any other female druids and can justify it, reach out to us on our social medias. We'd love to hear them. I love druids.
Is there any? Is the Lorax a dude?
Loris is a gender neutral
Yeah, I was gonna say.
entity.
So we should put him
he's
in
the
the-
spirit of
Nature.
the forest.
Yeah.
But that's another thing.
Interesting. And
yeah.
it's Dr. Seuss. Like who
Yeah.
thinks of that?
Bit of a
Bob_Francis thinks of that. That's what I'm saying.
that's exactly right. A quick build for druids. You're not super healthy. You've got a 1d8 of hit dice, so you rely heavily on your wild shape to keep your health up, unless you have a high constitution. Starting skills. Do you want to list some of them off? You get to choose 2.
Of animal handling, arcana, insight, medicine, nature, perception, religion, and survival.
If you had to pick 2, which ones would you pick? Would you pick survival?
If I ever played a druid, which would be never,
Yep.
unless you held a gun to my head
Yep.
and said you have to be a druid.
Like the one that we're going to create?
Oh, but that was a fun one, like the
Yeah.
one that we did. I would say that my druid would have the starting skills of nature and survival.
Really?
Yep. Because I'm going to say, because he's a hermit, I'm saying it's a he. It's a hermit, and it lived in the forest
Yep.
and needs to survive.
Yep. Okay, fair enough.
So yeah, that's all I'm saying.
I always do it though because of the amount of times you need it, not so much into the role playing aspect, but just because it's important. Perception and animal handling for role playing purposes.
Yep.
Would be my 2 ones.
They're proficient in light armor, medium armor, and shields with the caveat of no metal, which makes sense because medium armor is like equivalent to like leather armor.
Yeah, leather armor is one of them, and oh no, leather is light armor, but you've got scale mail and stuff.
Well, it's
but
like
you have to just be careful.
hide, and I think that's the only one. Unless you play it out saying it's like you could have like a medium armor that just is leather, but it's got the aspects of medium armor.
So you can't do studded leather, but you can do just normal leather.
We
And
can
I
do
think that's why they say medium armor, just so you can do
studs
hide.
have to be metal studs?
I think they're normally metal.
You can't do like little like knots? It would be knotted armor?
Would that just still be leather though?
Yeah, it would still be leather, but
But I wouldn't call it studded because it's not sharp
yeah, but if you were trying to get
to justify studded leather.
yes. Oh, but studded leather's light armor anyway. Sorry, I was looking
Yes.
into like the mediums and I was like, where the fuck
Scale
did you see
mail.
that?
You can do scale mail, but I think that's metal.
Is it?
I
Or is it
think
like
so.
scales, like dragon scales
That's
and shit?
what yeah, you could probably just fight it and talk about it that way.
You could say it's that.
Yeah. We talked a bit about weapons earlier. You get the herbalism kit as a tool, which completely makes sense because it's all about
Nature and
nature
shit.
and stuff.
And then saving throws are intelligence and wisdom. And what did you say that the druid spell modifier was?
Wisdom.
It was
Yes,
wisdom?
Wisdom, 100%.
So it makes sense that like the 2 that it has for its saving throws are the
Wisdom and intelligence.
wisdom and intelligence.
So book smart and street smart, because normally you're out in the wild and you need to be able to like know what direction those footprints are and the change in the leaves and all that fun stuff, and you can play it that way. And then because obviously your spellcasting modifier is wisdom, it makes sense that your saving throw is wisdom.
So now we get to the good stuff, the class breakdowns, which in this is called
juicy
the
boys.
circles.
Yes. So druids circles because again hippies are all in a circle and tree hugging and
I don't think it means that.
That's how I imagined it.
Okay.
That's how I pictured it. Is that like the circles that you meet as a group and like learn from are the people that sit in a circle and talk about their feelings.
Okay.
That's exactly how I imagined it. What did you think?
Like I don't know.
Like a drawing or something, or like
yeah, like what circle of magic do you come from? Oh, we got overheating issues coming up.
I pictured it as like hugging and friends and let's talk about our feelings in a circle.
So we figured this out because we sat down, we had our hot chocolates, and we were talking about the two base classes that you get in the player's handbook. So Circle of the Land and Circle of the Moon. And we thought of this, and it might not be 100% true, but from a beginner's perspective,
but we noticed.
Yeah, this is exactly what we noticed, was that doesn't matter which one you pick, they both go in
Start
both paths.
separately.
Yeah.
Between nature and animals.
So it's two paths that come towards one as you get to the high levels. So if you're going with Circle of the Land, it's more spell-based.
It's more spell-based. You're focused more on nature rather than the animals, because your spells are like Thunder Wave.
The other ones.
List a few of them off.
But depending on the background that you pick. Yeah.
That you choose. So, sorry guys, give me a minute. Hold person, sleet storm, ice storm, cone of cold. Those are some of the Arctic spells. Desert, you've got create food and water, I'm not gonna be able to say that.
Just say the next word then.
Wall of stone, swamp. You've got stinking cloud.
So you when you wake up.
Insect plague. Shut up.
But as you get to the higher levels in Circle of the Land, they allow you to wild shape, not to the aggression of the Circle of the Moon starting off, but you still get those abilities that increase how your animals come out. And
you eventually get to transform into elementals. So the fire, water, earth, and air elementals, which again is close to the connection to nature rather than your connection to your animals.
Yes.
If you were to choose Circle of the Moon, though, one of the limitations is wild shape, anything other than Circle of the Moon, you can only transform to 1/4 challenge ratings. So you've got basic things like
dog,
cat,
bird, not bird,
normal, wolf is 1/4,
penguin.
No, you got some good stuff
Emu.
in there. Oh my god, you're killing me. Zombie, they're all 1/4.
Yes.
Ones. When you get to level 6, you get half, and level 8, you get 1.
Yep.
Every other class besides Circle of the Moon caps at 1. You can never go any higher. So you can't do polar bears. You can't do like dragons and
direwolves.
No, direwolves are 1.
Oh, dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs and all that kind of stuff. Whereas when you choose Circle of the Moon, you get to do, when you hit level 6, you can choose anything that you have seen of your Druid level divided by 3 rounded down. So when you hit level 6, you can do challenge rating at level 2s and so on and so forth. And that's where it gets very, very strong very quickly. But then you have to get there first.
Towards the end levels, they give you the ability to cast spells in wild shape.
Yes.
And to talk in wild shape and stay longer in wild shape. So you get more spell stuff in the later levels, but more of the aggression of the wild shapes in the beginning levels.
So you start really, really strong, and then it's very gradual until you hit like 18th level.
Yeah.
Whereas Circle of the Land is much slower, weaker at the beginning, and then really picks up momentum towards the end.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
So
like, they're your two differences if you were to choose one or the other.
Yeah, thinking about that in particular, like it's a really good way of thinking. The player's handbook designed it well that doesn't matter which one you choose between the two if you're not too sure, regardless, you're going to end up doing the same
if you're playing a
sort of
campaign
stuff.
long enough.
Yes.
Yeah, you're going to end up somewhere in the same spot, which is really, really cool.
Circle of the Shepherd.
These are expansions. So these are Xanathars. The first 2 are Xanathars, and then the other ones are later. Circle of the Shepherd is one that I played. Mittens was a Circle of the Shepherd.
Yes.
It's more of a protection circle than the others. You're close to the spirits of the Fae and of the Fae land is I think the place called. Feywild, thank you.
Yep.
You call upon them to help. So you can create animals.
And you get a spirit companion.
You get a spirit companion.
Yep.
You actually can choose 3 at any point.
Yep.
I always stuck to 1 because I feel like role-playing wise, that was easier. So you have unicorn, bear, and eagle are your 3.
Sure.
Bear allows you to regain temporary hit points to any party members within the radius of it. The unicorn, I think it's speed and
similar to the spirit totems in
Barbarian. 100%.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. As you grow in levels of Druid, you basically just buff out your animal, so it does
your spirit companion.
Yeah, your spirit companion. It just does other things to it.
And like it makes it tankier, lasts longer, has like triple attacks, that sort of stuff. And then we were saying that if you were to go with Circle of the Shepherd and you had someone else in your party that went Circle of the a barbarian that went with spirit totem, then you could do a buff on your spirit companion, and then they can buff
on
your
theirs,
spirit companion,
and then you
double
could break
buff.
the game. Yeah, which is really
Well, I
cool.
wouldn't say it's breaking the game. But
You can
it's interesting. That's all.
yeah, you can really lean into it, push for it, which is really cool.
Circle of the Dreams, which is another. It's a funny one because this one is a lot more healing-esque. So druids are a supporty class. Like they do damage. Don't get me wrong. And I do hate them, but still, I'm going to talk pretty highly of them.
They're a ranged
Yeah.
weapon. They're not close.
But with this one, it's not only the healing that they get extra. They also get to jump around a bit. So they get displacement, whether that's yourself, your allies, or enemies. And then you can. I think it's a bonus action for you to teleport.
It's a reaction.
It's a reaction to teleport. Yeah. I just thought that was a really cool way of doing it. Of like, yes, this is the scenario that you and I thought about.
Yes.
Was you run into a battle, you attract the attention of everyone, you teleport out,
and then have the rest of your party back you up from behind and
Yes.
get the surprise round.
and then you heal them from a distance.
Yes.
And then you might have to teleport and to lay hands and that sort of stuff.
You can teleport someone else out. So if you've got a barbarian that wants to take all the damage and then he's suddenly surrounded by 6 or 7 enemies, you use your reaction to take them out,
heal them,
and
then put them back in.
That'd be your second turn, but yes.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
I think that's a really interesting play style. And I don't know if there's any other class that does something similar
Closest
to that.
is the monk, but they can't take anyone else out.
You're
There
right.
are spells that you can do as a wizard, a warlock. It's 4:00. That's why we've got the vet appointment that we just missed. You can do it with yes, you can do it in other classes, but Circle of the Dreams is very dedicated to doing that.
Yes.
That's like part of what's the design of it. At least that's how we see it, which is really cool. You have more healing abilities as well because of the connection to the Fae, which is really cool. But yeah, the big one is being able to jump. And I think that was at level 6. I think
It was something like that, yeah.
Something pretty cool.
And then Circle of Spores, sorry,
You
which
love
is
this one.
which is in Ravnica.
Yes.
And I thought this was a really good. I think it's a very interesting aspect of.
It's a cool concept.
So instead of having things that are living that you're surrounded with, you have the fungus, which is normally like related to decay and stuff.
Yeah. So the main one that we've written here, and it's in Ravnica as well, is you find the beauty in decay.
Yep.
Which is really cool.
So it's like you have a protective coating on you of these spores, and then if you take damage, you deal necrotic damage to
Back
the
to
enemies.
them.
Yeah. And then so we were trying to think that this would be the equivalent of the tanky class for druids if you want to go tanky. Obviously, it's not like wild shaping into a bear and then so on and so forth. But
which you can do, but you lose that ability.
yeah. And then the rest of the levels in the spore circle is just buffing those spores around you.
Yeah.
Whether that's like coating your weapon to do more damage or...
no, it's actually extra damage. It's not even... Sorry. Yes, you are.
Yeah.
Correct. Yep.
Or it's like you can move your spores to an unoccupied space, and then if anyone walks into it, then they take damage, but then they can come back to you and then heal you from that.
It's really interesting.
It's a cool way to play it.
See, obviously you can still use your wild shape and all that fun stuff, but it's a very different concept of nature, which is really interesting because it's all about, instead of balance, it's finding the balance in things that are dying.
Yeah.
Which kind of leads us into the responsive class. It's all about
You take the hit,
take a
and
hit,
then you
deal a hit.
do the stuff.
So even if you're taking damage, you're always dealing more damage. So you could be healing someone and have your back facing the enemy and give them an opportunity.
Yes.
But you're still fighting them technically. Well, your body is.
Your spores are.
Which is really cool.
I thought it was cool.
It's
And
really
it's a
interesting.
close combat druid tanky class.
Where normally druids are seen as a distance.
Spellcasters
Yeah,
and
which is
everything.
really cool. Circle of the Wildfire is definitely going to be a circle that I'm going to trial.
So that's from
next
Unearthed
time.
Arcana, which is still in the beta right now.
Yeah,
They're doing a
100%.
build test at the moment.
If anyone who has played Druid and has played this class, let us know. Sorry, subclass. Really interested to see what everyone makes of it.
Yeah.
There's a survey out of it as well. So this one understands the need for destruction to promote growth. So when a tree falls and dies from...
And the camera just died.
And the camera died.
No space on the memory card. Oh, ran out of
because
space.
we didn't delete last week's.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Anyone watching the YouTube video,
Apologies.
it's all audio now.
Yeah. From the ashes, stuff is reborn. like a phoenix is the easiest way that we
how
thought
we
of it.
called it before because we couldn't remember the name was we called this the Druid of the Phoenix.
Yes.
So it was like, you deal fire damage, it burns the nature around you, and then you get bonuses from the death that you just caused.
Which is really, really cool. In this one, similar to Circle of the Shepherd, where you have a spirit, but this spirit is actually a fire spirit.
Yeah. And isn't this the only class of Druid that has fire-based damage?
No, I think
No?
high enough you go, you can get some fire damage. But with this one, it's very focused on the fire damage. So a lot of the spells, when you hit 3rd, 5th, 7th, and 9th, I think it is, you get 2 new spells. One of them is a fire damaging spell, and then another one is about creation or like I think it's like produce water or create spirit. Another cool one is that you actually have a fire spirit, so you can expend while your wild shape forms, which for those who haven't played Druid before, every Druid only has 2 forms of
Per long rest?
Per long rest.
Yeah.
So obviously you get it back, but you can only turn into a wild, you can only use wild shape twice. You can expend one of those to actually create a fire spirit, which is pretty cool.
I thought that was cool.
Yeah. In there, they give you the stats and everything.
Yeah. And I think, because it's its own entity, it's not something that's been in any of the books before, so it's not in the monster manual or anything. It's specifically designed for this class. And I thought, we thought that was very interesting. Like you said,
Super
you're
cool.
going to be playing this, whether or not that's if it's still in this beta build test or when it comes out at the time. But this is something that you're interested in playing.
I think it's awesome. It's very similar to some of the spells that we talked about are in Circle of the Land, but are in this one as well. So if you really liked Circle of the Land but want to try something different, you can definitely do this one.
Yeah.
As the level grows, basically you just buff out your spirit. Was some of the stuff that happened. So your spirit,
But this
can
one
be there longer
does not get buffed by spirit totems, I believe.
No.
Yeah.
No, this is buffed by as you reach higher levels. When
Yes.
you summon your spirit, it's stronger as well as you are.
So that's
it's
it.
Pretty
That's pretty much
flipping cool.
a rundown of all the different Druid classes that you can play.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not a big fan of Druid. I don't think it's a
class for you.
a class for me. Like, I'm not saying it's not for everyone, but
I've played a druid exactly, I think 4 times now.
Yeah.
It's my favorite class.
and that's totally fine. There's a lot of variety to it, especially with these new additions from Ravnica and from the Unearthed Arcana. But again, you play it how you want to play it.
Yep.
What we're just trying to talk about here is the ways that we think would be the best way to play these classes. We do have a theory build that we're working on at the moment.
Yeah, we'll post it on our Twitter and our Facebook. So if you choose to play as this character, which we didn't give a name yet,
We haven't given it a name, no.
it'll be accessible as well on D&D Beyond. So definitely give it a check out. All its stats and stuff will be there.
Yeah, so just a quick brief. It's something that you wouldn't normally associate with being a druid.
Which is metal. So what's the only race that is defined as metal?
Asamirs.
No. Warforged with the new Wayfinder's Guide to Eberron. Nope, sorry, that's the old one. Eberron the Last War. You can now play as a Warforged machine, which is pretty cool.
So yeah, we'll be releasing the stats for that later tonight.
He would be, what circle was he again?
Spores.
Yes.
Yeah, Circle of the Spore.
Because our
Our
imagery,
reasoning for it.
yes.
Yeah.
Did you want to
Is that he's a damaged Warforged
machine
from
the war?
The war.
Yep.
It's had a screw come loose and he's like suddenly got a grasp of morality and like nature and stuff. So he's decided to take on like moss and nature things around him.
Like collapsed in the forest,
Yep.
and the forest grew around him,
Yes.
and he just learned that life moves on.
Yes.
So his whole thing is that he's like protecting. You know what it reminds me of? Now that I'm thinking of it, you know the Astro Boy movie?
Sure, I don't
Did
watch
you?
it.
Oh, okay.
I'm an
Something
adult.
very similar. So he's a big robot, and he has all these like chest cavities, and you think like a massive cannon's gonna like open up, but it's actually like a little like bird's nest
Yes.
inside or something.
Where
And
it should have been a cannon,
yes. And we were talking about his like weapon would be, what are they called?
like a battering ram. There's just
yeah.
a giant tree log.
Yeah. So anyone who like any enemies that would come across him think that he's got like these guns and all these things, but all those like cavities that would hold bullets or weapons or fire and all that is these like animals living in him and
Yep.
moss, and he's the sad thing about him is that he's actually slowly dying because he's rusting in nature. And we thought that was like a really interesting or kind of cute concept.
So yeah, that's something that we'll be releasing later on.
If you have any ideas for his name, please put it on our social medias because we'll take some ideas.
Other than that, subscribe and follow us on everything at Rocket Tabletop.
Yeah.
And
now for our shout outs to some of our listeners and people who gave cool suggestions. I think actually I've got them up. I've got my Facebook ones up. So shout out to Nathan, Zach, Americo, Robert, Justin, and Ash, who have all given us some great ideas on our Facebook. And
then on our Twitter.
Social media, yes.
We've got at Shadow Scriptorium.
Yep.
At Bob_Francis, who we shouted out multiple
Big fan.
times.
We love you.
At Toxic Titan YT. And I think...
Rad Brad.
And obviously, at RadBrad86 as well. Love you guys. You guys are great.
Thank you so much. If you like what you hear, follow us.
Do the thing. You know what to do.
Do it. Any people out there who want to sponsor us, this would be your plug right here. So give us a message on our rockettabletop@gmail.com.
Other than that, have a good week, guys. We'll talk to you guys next time.
Druids are the best.